Welcome back to Kdramas Decoded. Episode 4 begins with the aftermath of Song Hwan's drunken night. Yoon Hwan carefully tucks her into bed before the story takes us back to a painful memory from their childhood. Years earlier, a devastating fire broke out in their residential building. The residents, including Yoon Hwan, Song Hwan, and their father, managed to escape the flames. Just as everyone thought the evacuation was complete, they realized one child was still trapped inside. Without hesitation, Yoon Hwan's father rushed back into the burning building to save the missing child. Young Yoon Hwan chased after him, hoping to hand him something before he disappeared into the fire. But before he could reach him, burning debris suddenly crashed down onto Song Hwan, turning the rescue into a tragedy that would haunt the family for years. Back in the present, Jaein can't stop thinking about the strange connection she's developed with Yoon Hwan. She's confused by the fact that she can hear his thoughts and even experience his emotions. Unsure whether there's a medical explanation, she questions an AI chatbot about emotional transference and whether two people can genuinely share emotions. Although the answers offer psychological theories, they fail to explain everything she's experiencing. Determined not to waste another opportunity, Jaein calls writer Oh and sincerely asks for one more audition. She explains that she finally understands the emotions of the character and begs him to let her perform again in front of director Moon. After hearing her determination, writer Oh agrees to arrange another meeting. The following morning, another emotional problem unfolds at home. While getting ready for school, Ha-yeol quietly tells Yoon Hwan that she hates her mother and wishes she would simply disappear. Unfortunately, Song Hwan overhears every word. Although she pretends nothing happened, the comment deeply wounds her. Later, Jaein approaches Yoon Hwan, hoping to speak with him after everything that's happened between them. Instead, he greets her coldly, clearly trying to create some distance while he struggles to understand the mysterious emotional connection between them. Jaein soon arrives for her second audition. This time she draws upon the emotions she sensed from Yoon Hwan during their previous encounters. Instead of forcing the performance, she allows those genuine feelings to guide her acting. The change is immediately obvious. Writer Oh and director Moon are visibly impressed. Jaein delivers an emotional performance that is far stronger than her first audition, finally convincing everyone that she understands the character. Sadly, talent alone isn't enough. Despite praising her acting, the production team explains that the role has already been promised to actress Im Jin-ju. The decision wasn't based on ability, but on business. Im Jin-ju's casting was part of a package deal that secured popular actor Byun Woo-jin as the drama's male lead. Although disappointed, Jaein accepts the news with dignity and quietly leaves. Outside the building, she unexpectedly bumps into Yoon Hwan. Before she has time to explain anything, she also runs into actress Yi-jin. Wanting to save face, Jaein impulsively introduces Yoon Hwan as her manager. Yoon Hwan is completely surprised but plays along with the story. Yi-jin quickly recognizes him because she previously attended counseling sessions with him. After the awkward introduction, Jaein and Yi-jin head to a nearby cafe together. During their conversation, they discover they both know Yoon Hwan through counseling. Yi-jin also tells Jaein about Mi Jeong, the assistant who leaked the bullying video. Since the scandal, Mi Jeong resigned from her job and completely disappeared, leaving everyone wondering what became of her. Before Jaein has time to process that information, entertainment reporter Han Seo-jun suddenly approaches her and aggressively demands an interview. He continues pressuring her despite her obvious discomfort. Seeing the situation unfold, Yoon Hwan immediately steps in. Still pretending to be Jaein's manager, he firmly tells the reporter to stop harassing her and apologize for his behavior. Faced with Yoon Hwan's calm but confident attitude, the reporter eventually backs off, allowing Jaein to leave without answering any questions. Although Jae laughs about the fake manager act afterwards, she's also grateful that Yoon Hwan stepped in when she needed someone most. Following the confrontation with the reporter, Yoon Hwan and Jaein go their separate ways, but both continue thinking about each other. While Jaein remains focused on reviving her acting career, Yoon Hwan can't shake the strange emotional connection that keeps drawing them together. Meanwhile, Yijin continues attending counseling sessions with Yoon Hwan. During one session, they practice an emotional acting exercise together, with Yoon Hwan helping her understand how to express genuine emotions instead of simply memorizing lines. Yijin is impressed by his ability to analyze emotions so accurately, making it even clearer why so many actors seek his help. The following day, Yijin arrives excited to meet director Moon after securing the lead role. However, her agency's CEO quickly reminds her that she must never reveal how the role was actually obtained. He warns her to stay professional because the director originally wanted to cast Jae-in instead. Elsewhere, Jae-in's former manager sits alone drafting a text message to her. He clearly feels guilty about how everything ended between them and wants to apologize, but before he can send the message, Yi-jin arrives for a meeting, forcing him to put his phone away. Later that day, Yi-jin meets Yoon Hwan at a cafe to thank him for helping her previously. She presents him with a proposal for him to become the in-house therapist at JAN Entertainment, believing his counseling expertise would greatly benefit the agency's actors. While they talk, she casually moves closer to him under the excuse of brushing a stain from his shirt. At that exact moment, Jae-in happens to be out jogging nearby and spots the two of them together. Almost instantly, she begins feeling the same emotions Yoon Hwan is experiencing. Confused by the overwhelming sensation, she walks over and interrupts their conversation before introducing herself. Not long afterwards, Yi-jin offers Yoon Hwan a lift home, and the two continue discussing the proposed therapist position. Although interested in helping struggling actors, Yoon Hwan still hasn't made a decision. The next meeting takes place at JAN Entertainment, where Yoon Hwan reviews the agency's proposal. Before the contract can be signed, Jae-in suddenly storms into the office demanding answers about suspicious financial notifications she has received. The confrontation quickly escalates. The CEO angrily criticizes Jae-in for her behavior, accusing her of repeatedly causing trouble and embarrassing the company. He tells her she no longer has any reason to contact the agency directly and insists that all future communication should go through his lawyer. Watching everything unfold, Yoon Hwan begins questioning whether accepting the contract is the right decision. He then reveals the findings from psychological evaluations he previously conducted on the agency's actors. According to the results, anxiety and depression levels across the company are significantly higher than the industry average, with several top stars showing particularly concerning scores. Rather than treating those problems, Yoon Hwan believes the company itself may be contributing to them. Unable to ignore what he's discovered, he refuses to sign the contract and calmly walks away, leaving the executives speechless. Not long afterwards, Jae-in receives another unexpected phone call from writer Oh. One of the actresses has dropped out, leaving an immediate vacancy in the drama. He asks Jae-in if she's still interested in taking the role, giving her another chance to pursue the opportunity she thought she'd already lost. Hoping to improve even further, Jae-in asks Yoon Hwan to help her understand emotional transference so she can become a better actress. However, Yoon Hwan refuses, believing their strange connection is something he still doesn't understand himself. As their conversation continues, memories of the childhood fire surface once again. Jae-in experiences the overwhelming grief connected to that tragedy, while Yoon Hwan struggles with painful memories he has spent years trying to suppress. Meanwhile, Yoon Hwan receives another devastating blow. The professional association officially suspends his counseling license for 3 months, forcing him to temporarily close his practice despite his efforts to appeal the decision. Elsewhere, Song Hwan realizes Ha-yeol has disappeared. Remembering the hurtful words her daughter spoke earlier, she desperately searches for her. Unknown to the family, Ha-yeol is sitting alone on a playground in the pouring rain. Jae-in finds the frightened little girl first. Ha-yeol finally breaks down in tears, and Jae-in comforts her before taking her somewhere warm and buying her food. During their conversation, Ha-yeol reveals that Yoon Hwan is actually her uncle. When Jae-in eventually brings Ha-yeol home, Yoon Hwan immediately scolds her for not informing the family sooner. Jae-in refuses to stay silent, arguing that everyone was so busy blaming each other that nobody realized how lonely Ha-yeol had become. After apologizing for the misunderstanding, she quietly leaves. Later that night, Song Hwan puts Ha-yeol to bed while Yoon Hwan begins wondering if he was too harsh on Jae-in. His friends encourage him to see things from her perspective, reminding him that she was only trying to protect the child. Back at home, Jae suddenly becomes dizzy and collapses unconscious. As heavy rain begins falling outside, Yoon Hwan instinctively remembers her trauma and rushes to check on her. Finding her unconscious inside the house, he immediately takes her to the hospital, fearing she may have attempted to harm herself. At the hospital, Jae-in regains consciousness to find Yoon Hwan anxiously waiting by her bedside. Realizing how worried he is, she immediately begins acting pitiful, pretending she's completely helpless in the hope that he'll agree to help her with emotional acting. She apologizes repeatedly and tries to win his sympathy, but Yoon Hwan soon notices her foot tapping beneath the blanket. Realizing she's exaggerating the situation on purpose, he sees straight through her performance, leaving Jae-in embarrassed that her little act has failed. Although the mood lightens, news of Jae-in's hospital visit spreads much faster than either of them expected. Photos of Yoon Hwan accompanying her at the hospital quickly begin circulating online, fueling rumors about their relationship. When Yi-jin sees the photos, she's clearly unhappy. Instead of confronting either of them directly, she contacts CEO No of Axe Entertainment and asks him for a favor, hinting that she intends to take control of the situation before Jae-in gains any more attention. Around the same time, writer Oh checks in on Jae-in after hearing about the rumors. Rather than focusing on the gossip, he encourages her to think about her future as an actress. He advises her that signing with a reliable agency would give her a much better chance of receiving regular acting opportunities and rebuilding her career. Soon afterwards, Jae-in receives an unexpected phone call from Axe Entertainment. The company expresses interest in signing her, presenting what appears to be a fresh start after years of disappointment. Meanwhile, Yoon Hwan continues dealing with the consequences of his own professional problems. He meets with a lawyer to discuss the association's decision to suspend his counseling license. Despite hoping to overturn the ruling, he's told there is little he can do. His clinic will have to remain closed for the next 3 months while the suspension is in effect. One of Yoon Hwan's friends also checks on him after hearing about Jae-in's collapse. During their conversation, an old rumor resurfaces claiming that Jae-in once attempted to take her own life. Although nobody knows whether the story is true, it explains why Yoon Hwan panicked so quickly when he found her unconscious. Later that day, Yoon Hwan returns home and finds Jae-in's former manager waiting outside her house. Clearly concerned, the former manager reveals that Jae-in is preparing to sign a contract with Axe Entertainment. He warns Yoon Hwan that CEO No has a reputation for manipulating people and putting profits ahead of his artists. In his opinion, Jae-in would be making a serious mistake if she joins the company. Realizing she may be walking into another dangerous situation, Yoon Hwan immediately rushes to stop her before the contract can be signed. He arrives just in time and tells Jae-in not to make such an important decision without fully understanding who she's dealing with. Although Jae-in is surprised by his sudden appearance, she listens as he explains why he believes Axe Entertainment isn't the safe opportunity it appears to be. After everything they've experienced together, Yoon Hwan makes an unexpected proposal. Instead of letting Jae-in place her future in the hands of a company he doesn't trust, he offers to become her manager himself. Jae-in is completely caught off guard by the suggestion. After spending the entire episode pushing each other away, arguing, misunderstanding one another, and repeatedly finding themselves connected by mysterious emotions, Yoon Hwan finally makes a decision that could completely change both of their lives. The episode ends on this surprising cliffhanger, leaving Jae-in to consider whether trusting Yoon Hwan might be the opportunity she's been searching for all along. And that's it for Love in Sync Episode 4. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to Kdramas Decoded, and let me know in the comments what you think about Yoon Hwan's decision. Do you think becoming Jae-an's manager is the right choice, or will it create even more problems for them in the future? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next recap.